Hello everybody and welcome to Notorious Yugioh. I'm Notorious Cly, and I know. I was supposed to defeat them, not join them. But here I am with the deck profile for Resonator Mekk Knights. I know, come on, let me have it. Get it out of your system and then we can move on with the deck profile and I can tell you why this deck is actually a lot of fun to play. Okay, we got another system now? Okay, we all calm down. Okay, so as all of you know, Resonators are my favorite archetype, my favorite deck of all time. I have a strong love for Resonators, and if there is a version of the deck that has a higher ceiling, or does something cool, neat, or interesting, or is even just fun to play, I feel like I owe it to myself to at least try it out to see if I enjoy playing it. Plus, I keep getting asked, what do you think of Mekk Knight Resonators? And I can give you my thoughts, my at a glance thoughts, but they're not going to be reinforced with experience. So I owe it to all of you to play this list. It clearly, see, it's on you that I'm doing this. Just kidding, it's on me. I really wanted to play the deck because looks interesting, and I want to capitalize on the Mekk Knights before they're banned. So let's not waste any more time with the intro or preamble. Let's just go card by card. So let's start with the Mekk Knights. We have 2 Purple Knightfall. I've seen some lists play 3. I'm not digging for a third one. I think 2 is going to be just fine. Mekk Knight Purple Knightfall is the Mekk Knight that makes it all work because it can banish itself to add another Mekk Knight to your hand and get the ball rolling. And then, but wait, there's more. It comes back during your next standby phase, so it's another big body that you get back on your board. So your opponent thinks they've cleared everything, and then here comes the Purple Knightfall back that they forgot about. You know, so great card. Probably worth mentioning now that this list is not homegrown. I drew heavy influence from some lists on DLM, and also took inspiration from a list from CKW81, one of the mainstays of the Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend Discord server from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord repository. Solid dude. Very, very intelligent person when it comes to Resonator. You can learn a lot from them, and I implore you all to do that. Dude's got it figured out. So back to the Mekk Knight. So 2 Purple Knightfall. I'm running 1 Yellow Star just because it's back row removal, and it's a level 7, which lines up nice with some of our Resonators for synchro plays. We'll get into that a little bit later. Then we have Blue Sky. Blue Sky is great because it searches Mekk Knights based on the number your opponent has in a column. This was not the one to limit 3. I don't know why they did. But also level 5 lines up nice with some of the levels of the Resonators we're playing as well. And at worst, it's a 2k body. You can just special summon for free. Same thing goes with the rest of the Mekk Knights. They're all 2,000 plus attackers that you basically get out for free. Then we have our last Mekk Knight, which is Red Moon. This is monster destruction, monster removal, and pretty good. Level 7, again, like Yellow Star, lines up pretty nice with some of the Resonators we're playing, and that's the reason why we're playing some of the Resonators. Again, we'll get to that. I'm just trying to stay focused, stay on topic. One other thing to mention about the Purple Knightfall. There are some contingencies and some cards you can play in your extra deck to make the level 8 line up well with some of your Resonators. I'm doing so, but I don't think it's necessary. So that rounds out our Mekk Knight package. And some things you won't notice are Morningstar and Secrets. Secrets because you normally want to search it via Morningstar. So we're not including it because we're not playing Morningstar. And we're not playing Morningstar because the Roaring Soul Seal is very restrictive on what you can summon and when you can summon it, and those restrictions last for the whole duel. So if you make Morningstar, you lock yourself out of the skill for the rest of the duel. So to me, it's not worth it. I'm not viewing this as a Mekk Knight deck. I'm viewing it as a Resonator deck that is taking advantage of the Mekk Knight's abilities to be big level non-tuners that you can get on board basically for free. And I suppose that's the foundational principle of this deck, is you do Resonator stuff with the Resonator half your deck, and then the Mekk Knights come in after the fact, or they clear the way for your Resonator stuff, and they just do the big body beater Mekk Knight stuff. And let's go to the Resonators then, or the Resonator half of the deck more specifically. 2 copies of Red Sprinter. You need to play at least 2 because if you draw 1, you brick and you shut off your skill. So 2 is good. Normally I like playing 3 in a pure Roaring Soul build, but that's a little gratuitous here. We're trying to balance 2 halves of a deck, so always seeing the Red Sprinter isn't exactly what we want to do. Sometimes we want Fiends with other utility other than follow-up. In theory, the Mekk Knights are there to help guarantee you don't need follow-up or help you for follow-up. 1 copy of Crimson because that's all you need, 1 copy of Red because we're not making big synchro climbs all the way to Red Nova. We want the one red because it lines up well with some of our Mekk Knights for some of the stuff we're playing in the extra deck, plus the life point gain is great. And it's always good as like a follow-up because you can normal summon it to like special sprinter or whatever else you might need to be to put on board. Then we're playing 2 copies of Synchron Resonator and 2 copies of Mirror Resonator. I'm mentioning these 2 together because these are the Resonators I kept alluding to. These are the Resonators that levels line up well with the Mekk Knights. They're level 1, which don't usually see a lot of play with Resonators, which is one of the things that kind of fascinates me about this particular deck list, because you don't often see Mirror Resonator, and you only rarely see Synchron Resonator in Duel Links. So let's talk about Synchron, then we'll move to Mirror, and then we'll get to their broader applications in the deck. So Synchron can special summon itself from the hand if a Synchro monster is on the board. Doesn't have to be yours, can also be your opponent's. And when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a Resonator in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. Great to recur Resonator to do stuff with. And the Resonator it can recur has to be other than Synchron Resonator, so if you have 2 Synchron on grave, you can't use Synchron to recycle Synchron. Just little details to note. And then we have Mirror Resonator. Mirror Resonator is cool because it's level 1, again lines up with the Mekk Knights, and then it can special summon itself from the hand or graveyard if your opponent controls a monster special summon from the extra deck and you don't. It also has a level modulation thing, but that's probably rarely going to come up. You're playing it because it's a level 1 and it can kind of special summon itself. Their broader application on the deck, so they're level 1s, which means a level 7 Yellow Star or a level 7 Red Moon and a level 1 Synchron or a level 1 Mirror gets you into a level 8. So you can just skip Red Rising entirely and synchro into like Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend or do whatever. And then one of the level 1s plus the level 5 Blue Sky can get you into Red Rising Dragon. And then Red Rising Dragon, if you have a non-level 1 Resonator in the graveyard, can just target that one and bring it back and then get you into a level 8. Or if it's Crimson, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So really cool. They kind of make the deck function the way it needs to, given that the Mekk Knights have atypical levels for a Resonator deck. I suppose we should touch on the utility fiends. We have 3 Archfiend Eccentric. Fantastic card in general for Roaring Soul. I was playing it for a while on my King of Games run. It's Exile Force, a real slow MST, or in this build specifically, it's a thing you can set in the pen scale to help create a column for yourself. You don't have to use its pen scale effect right away. You can just set it in the pen scale. It just stays there until you need a really slow MST. Fantastic. Plus it's a fiend, which means if it's the only fiend you open, you can just dump it and then dump Crimson from deck, add Red Sprinter, do your normal combo thing. Then our last utility fiend is Santa Claus. Kind of want to play 2 copies of this, but I'm also playing Book of Moon, which kind of fulfills the same job as Santa Claus, which is like shut off interaction on your opponent's side of the board. I went with Santa Claus over a 3rd Book of Moon because I wanted to up my fiend count a little bit just to make it more consistent for me to open the Resonator part of the deck. So that's going to do it for our utility fiends. Let's move on to our tech choices. So we have 2 Book of Moon. I touched on this with Santa Claus. Shuts stuff off on your opponent's side of the board by flipping it face down, and also can be used turn 1 to set and help create a column, and then used to interrupt your opponent on their turn. Pretty great card. Fantastic. Lots of versatility. Doesn't have to be specifically Book of Moon in this list. I'm not quite sure if anything is mandatory outside of the Resonators and Mekk Knights. All your techs are pretty free to design and play however you want to, but I like the versatility of Book of Moon. It tends to be more disruptive than something like Forbidden Chalice, especially when something like PK is the top deck. If you flip their Requiem Dragon face down, they can't really protect it with wings. I don't believe they can protect it with wings. Let me check that before I sound silly. Yep, I had the interaction right. They have to target 1 face up monster. So if you're flipping it face down, then they can't really protect it with a wing. So, you know, a little more versatile than Chalice, even though they kind of serve the same purpose, which is like turn off the negate. Then we're running 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone because Time Lords are a very difficult matchup for this deck. Difficult matchup for Resonators in general. So we need to get rid of the Infinite Light so we can, you know, target destruction-proof monsters with non-destruction type effects. In general, just all-around good back row removal card, and it's great in the mirror match because you can banish your opponent's Red Rain. So even if they get to use it, they won't be able to recur it on the next turn. Then Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller is great in any Resonator list when you are playing Synchron Resonator, because you can always have a Synchron Resonator lingering on board and then use Enemy Controller, tribute off your Synchron to take their monster for the turn, then Synchron effect goes off to restock your hand with the Resonator. Pretty great, a lot of value. I actually used Enemy Controller to great effect in one of my free-to-play Resonator builds way back when. and I managed to king of games with it, and the controller played a big part. Very, very versatile card, very powerful card. That's why it's limited to 1. There were decks that were able to capitalize on it. And next up is Compulse. Could really be anything. I prefer Compulse just because it's a little better offensively and defensively than some of the other traps out there, especially some of the limit 3 staples. IDP is in a vacuum the best, but in our deck it isn't the best because you're limited on what you can summon and where you can summon it from. So if you're going to be locked into where you're special summoning things, IDP becomes significantly worse. And then lastly, we have the 1 copy of Red Rain. Since we're not playing a pure build, I wouldn't recommend playing 2. You should be able to search this with enough ease, and when you're not able to search it, you're probably opening enough interaction that you're going to win anyway. So one is fine. And then that does it for the main deck. Skill is Roaring Soul, obvious. All of you should be familiar with Roaring Soul by now. If you're not, the brief description of it, explanation of it, is it turns any 1 fiend in your hand into a Crimson Resonator in grave and a Red Sprinter in your hand, which means you can normal summon the Red Sprinter, special summon back the Wildman via Red Sprinter's effect, and then do the whole synchro climb that Resonators are used to doing. Extra deck time. We have 1 copy of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Fantastic. You need it for your combo because it's the other part of Roaring Soul. If you control Red Dragon Archfiend, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend becomes Red Dragon Archfiend on the field. You can trade out a Resonator on field and in your hand to set Red Rain directly from your deck, and it is activatable that turn. Great. Fantastic. Pretty good when you can use a trap the turn it's set and search it from deck, you know? Then next up is Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. This could be any generic level 8 synchro, more specifically any level 8 Dark Dragon synchro. In a couple of testing tools I had with this build, one thing that kept coming up is I wouldn't open 2 fiends, but I would open 1 fiend, and which would get me to Crimson, which would get me to a bunch of Resonators, and I would have Mekk Knights in my hand as well that I could use with one of the Resonators to synchro into a level 8. And one of the Resonators I would summon from deck would be Synchron, so I could, in a roundabout way, get a second fiend in my hand via Synchron effect. And I needed like a generic level 8 synchro and level 8 Dark Dragon synchro because I was locked into Dark Dragon synchros. Needed the level 8 synchro to put the Synchron in grave to add the fiend monster back to hand so I could swap it out and set Rain directly from deck. Probably should be a second Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend just because if you're going to play a generic anything, it's probably the one that's critical for your combo. Extra snipes aren't all that common, but you don't want your entire game plan to get shut down because of some silly stuff like a Silver Rocket Dragon. But for now, I'm playing Hot Red Dragon Archfiend just because it has the most utility in the deck and it offers something a little bit different than Scarlet because it's not restricted to attack values. It can just blow up anything in attack position. 2 Red Rising Dragon. 2 is fine because your Mekk Knights let you turbo out high level synchros with relative ease. So the odds that you're going to need the 3rd Red Rising Dragon are pretty slim. If you haven't won by then, something has gone horribly wrong, and I doubt you were winning that duel anyways. Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend because it's my favorite monster, and it's a nuke. It blows up everything and puts your opponent on better, stop me better have the out, otherwise I'm going to punch you for almost an OTK, and in some instances, an OTK. One cool thing you can do with Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend is its second effect. You can't read it because my head's probably in the way. But during either player's battle phase, when a spell trap card is activated, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack. You can negate your own spell trap in the battle phase to gain 500 attack, which means if you have Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend on the board, you blow up everything, and you still have a quick play spell in hand that's activatable. You go to battle phase, you activate that quick play spell card, you negate it with Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend, you gain 500 attack. You now have a 4,000 attack monster punching into an open board because you blew up everything during the main phase. Tyrant OTK. Tyrant's also awesome because it created the Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend minigame. My high score is, I think, 5, maybe 8. You might see that duel sometime soon. And then we have Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. It's a great 10 to climb out of from your level 8 Dark Dragon synchros, and it can recycle a Red Dragon Archfiend monster. That means Hot Red Dragon Archfiend or Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, or theoretically Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. You can do that too. So yeah, great monster, big beater. When it deals battle damage to your opponent, it can recycle a Resonator from graveyard and special one from deck at the same level too. Very rarely comes up, but it might come up more often in this list because you can, punch, get the Resonators back, and then on your next turn you got a Resonator with a unique level back, and you can special Mekk Knight. You get the idea. A lot of use for this card, and it's gigantic. 3,500 attack is nothing to turn your nose up at. Revenant Croco Dragon. I'm not even going to pronounce that last one because I'm just going to mess it up. So this is the monster that I'm running in the extra deck to accommodate Mekk Knight Purple Knightfall being a level 8. So level 8, you know, non-tuner plus a level 1 tuner gets me a level 9. And it gets me a draw. And also it has a quick effect pop for a quick discard of 2. Don't always want to discard 2, but it's nice that you have the option to do a quick effect pop. And being a level 9 synchro is pretty cool in some matchups because it means your opponent has to special summon a level 9 to the board. Otherwise, your Red Rain is still going to get whatever they put out there. Adds a little bit of lethality to your Red Rain. Red Rain only needs a level 8 or higher synchro monster. Doesn't care what type of synchro monster it is, just needs a level 8 or higher synchro monster. And Croco Dragon is that. It also works kind of nice with your level 7 Resonators that you can use the level 2 Resonators to get to it. You can also do the math to get like multiple non-tuners with it, so you get multiple draws, but that's too much work and effort. You're almost always going to be just getting the one draw off of it. And then our last card is Dark End Dragon, my adopted Red Dragon Archfiend son. Tier because I love it. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. Sending to the graveyard is like the second best form of removal in my opinion, next to Banish Face Down. So yeah, having that in the extra deck is very nice. One important thing to note about Dark End Dragon is it requires a non-tuner dark monster. So your Mekk Knights cannot get you into Dark End Dragon. This was one of the reasons why I ended up putting the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend in. Because I would think to myself, oh yeah, I've got the level 8 synchro in my extra deck to follow up to, you know, recycle the synchron so I can do the whole set Red Rain thing. And then I would remember, or I would remember too late, that Dark End Dragon requires a non-tuner dark monster. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But other than that, it's a fantastic card, and it's an out to some difficult matchups for the deck. Our removal is mostly destruction based. Our engine removal is mostly destruction based. So having a non-destruction type removal in the extra deck and accessible is fantastic for us. As far as extra deck stuff goes, there's a couple variations you could play on this extra deck. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend is one of the flex spots that I mentioned. The Croco Dragon is probably another flex spot. You don't really need to play those. I would argue Scarlet, the 2 Red Rising, Dark End, and Tyrant Bane are mandatory. So you have 2 kind of flex spots. I'm playing those 2 just because it's what I have access to. Ideally, the level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro generic that I would like to run would be Buster Dragon. Just because Buster Dragon can turn all monsters your opponent controls into Dragon type monsters, which can floodgate certain decks out of being able to play at all. If they require specific types of tuners or non-tuners or overlay material or link material, turning it into a dragon can completely bone some decks. Specifically in the mirror match, Red Rising Dragon requires a Fiend type tuner. If you have Buster Dragon on the field, all monsters they control become dragon. They can't use their Resonator plus their level 4 non-tuner to get to Red Rising Dragon. They control all dragon type monsters. So really good that it can floodgate out your opponent. Another option, another flex spot you could add in is something like Exploder Dragonwing or Ancient Pixie Dragon. Exploder Dragonwing makes your blue sky plus level 1 Resonator do something, because you can get the Red Rising, the Red Rising recycle the level 1 to get to a level 7 because you'll control the non-dragon tuner type, which would be the Red Rising Dragon. And it's a Jack Atlas cosplay card. Pretty good, Chad. I actually did not think I owned one copy of this, but apparently I do. So that's kind of cool. I still don't know if I'd play it over anything I have in my extra deck right now, but it is a cool option to consider to, you know, make level 1s plus your Red Rising Dragon into something worthwhile. Another option you have is the Ancient Pixie Dragon. It's a Dark Dragon Synchro, level 7, does kind of the same thing, and doesn't require any specific non-tuners, so you could use 5 and a 2, you can use Red Rising as a 6 and a 1. You can do whatever you need to make the levels work, and it's a Dark Dragon Synchro, and you can always try to climb out of it into a level 8. And since it's a Dark Dragon Synchro, it works nice with Crimson Effect and Red Rising Effect. And then the last option is Red Nova Dragon. It's kind of nice that you're not required to play it. There are some matchups in which I would feel more comfortable having it, specifically Time Lords, because one of the win conditions against Time Lords can be put Red Nova Dragon plus Red Rain on the field, and you'll always have the highest level, because the highest they're going to get is 10. but I don't think it comes up enough to warrant inclusion. If you're going against Time Lords a lot, I would recommend probably including it or adding more non-engine, non-destruction removal to answer Time Lords. But I've been playing without it so far and wanted to make it a couple times, but I haven't needed to make it at all. So that's that. That's the deck list, everybody. I hope you don't hate me too much. I'm going to show you a couple replays to show you what the deck can do. Keep in mind, these replays are kind of cherry-picked to showcase the upside of the deck, and they were my first couple of duels with the deck. So it may not be the most perfect representation of the deck, but I feel like it's an somewhat accurate representation of the deck. So let's go check those out. Okay, first up we're going to be going against Yugioh. I don't remember specifically what they were on, but I think I'm more concerned about what we're doing. So this is a hand. So we opened Eccentric, Blue Sky, Econ, Red Rising. Not Red Rising, Red Rain. Not bad at all. Eccentric is our one fiend that gets us to Red Sprinter. We already opened the Red Rain, so we don't need to worry about anything. And we have the Econ to set and get value off of on our opponent's turn. So that's two really big disruptions plus combo plus the Blue Sky for potential follow-up. So we're going to dump the Eccentric for skill, dump the Crimson from deck for skill, normal summon the Red Sprinter, Synchro Summon with the Red Sprinter and the Crimson we got from Red Sprinter's effect, Red Rising, bring back Crimson, Special Summon 2 Resonators from deck, and since we're only running the one Red Resonator, we Special Summon a Synchron Resonator as well. That's kind of cool for what we could potentially do here, and we'll get into that and see how I play this. And then we're going to go Red Effect to target the Red Rising Dragon, gain 2,100 life points, nice to have that little extra cushion. And we're just going to go ahead and go into Bane here. And then, yeah, we're going to go Bane, pop the, well not pop, tribute the Synchron Resonator to Special Summon back the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. And, yeah, save the blue for follow-up, recycle the Crimson off of the Synchron, and good luck to our opponent. So they are on Black Dragon Turo, Rocksworn, whatever you want to call it. And normally this is a pretty difficult matchup just because they can do stuff like that where they flip the monster down off of Tackle Crusader. So they flip down the Bane. Not great, but we still have the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend live, which is great, which means Red Rain is live. And they're going to normal summon Raiden, and since I know their goal is to put as many Earth monsters in the graveyard as possible for Black Dragon, I need to keep them off of as many mills as possible, so I go ahead and use the Econ to tribute off the Bane to grab the Raiden so they can't mill more. And I don't know if that was correct, but felt correct in the moment. And they're going to go ahead, Miracle Rupture, send Shell Knight to add Black Dragon. Cool, they get the Black Dragon anyways. And Black Dragon is live, that's fine, they're going to put it on board, Giant Rex bring it back. They're going to get 2 level 4s on board, Gigantes and Giant Rex. And we're going to go ahead and activate the Red Rain here. And I wanted to do this specifically here because I would banish 2 level 4s. If they were to overlay or link, those materials would go to the graveyard, which are 2 more Earths for Black Dragon. And I want to keep them off of as many Black Dragon material as humanly possible. If I use the Red Rain here, it is going to be unaffected by card effects because it shares the same level as Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, but I'm fine with that because I have the bigger attack value. They won't be able to punch over me, hopefully, maybe. So we're going to banish everything, and they're going to pass turn. So we're going to go ahead and set a comp ball. Fantastic top deck. And would you look at that? We have a column. We have 2 or more cards in the same column. You know what likes being there? Blue Sky does. And we're going to Blue Sky to grab purple. We're going to go ahead and synchro those 2 off for Cypher Lord Zeta. I was playing Zeta in this build earlier just to supplement the level 7 that I talked about. But it turns out having a Dark Dragon Synchro monster was more important, which is why I didn't bring up Zeta. But yeah, I freed up the column to let me get the purple. Zeta is another cool option because you can do one of these things, banish a special summon monster, and then just poke for damage. And that's what the deck can do. Offer up so much interaction that your opponent cannot handle it. Next replay is against Yugioh, and this should be another example of what the deck can do when it pops off unobstructed. So they're going to Magician's Magic, which means Dark Magician, and our hand is fine. 1 Fiend plus 3 forms of interaction. Back row removal and Cosmic Cyclone going against Dark Magician. Great. Book of Moon, fantastic interrupt. And we saw what enemy controller can do when paired up with Synchron Resonator, so we get to do it again. How lucky am I to open the 1-of twice. So we're going to do skill setup. Normal Red Sprinter, bring back Crimson, Synchro Summon Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon target Crimson Resonator, special summon it back, special summon 2 Resonators from grave. Since I had to send the red, I had to special summon 2 level 1s from deck. Gonna miss out on a little life point boost there, but it's fine. I still don't think running an extra red Resonator is worth it. If you're going to be playing Red Nova Dragon, you probably need to run another red Resonator just so you have enough Resonators to get from Red Dragon Archfiend into Red Nova Dragon. But since we're not running Red Nova Dragon, we don't need to run the extra level 2. So we're gonna go ahead and make Scarlet here, and just set 3 past, and we're gonna wall up with the 2 level 1s. So they're gonna use Apprentice Illusion, pitching these secrets. They're gonna search the DM. They're gonna pierce in the darkness, and they're gonna magical dimension. And guess what we're gonna do? Econ, take. You can't tribute off a monster you don't control. So we blink them. Synchron gets to recycle the Crimson, and they're gonna go ahead and scoop. So that's a hand in which we saw none of the Mekk Knights, and this deck is fine because all you need is one Fiend type monster to still live the Resonator dream. Let's go to the next replay, and then we'll close it out. And our last replay for the night is going to be against Seto Kaiba DSODs. This should be Blue Eyes, but I don't think we're ever going to find out because we're going first. And this deck ceiling is crazy. So this opener normally looks kind of mid, but one Fiend type monster gets us all the way there. And then we got 2 Mekk Knights and something to help create a column. Fantastic opener. So Roaring Soul, dump, it's the normal setup. Red Sprinter, you guys know this by now. We've done it twice. Red Rising Dragon, Crimson effect. Get the red, get the Synchron. Go ahead and do your thing. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. And here's the play that I was talking about with the extension via Blue Sky. So we have Blue Sky plus the level 1 Synchron Resonator, which will get us into Red Rising Dragon. And we have a Crimson in the graveyard, which means we can turn that Red Rising Dragon into a level 8 if we need to. Or we can use the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend to get into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane, and then use Bane to trigger off another Resonator for, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. But let's see how we play this. So we Synchron Red Rising Dragon as predicted. Bring back the Crimson Resonator. Synchron Resonator restocks Mirror Resonator to the hand, and go ahead and use the skill to swap. And then we go ahead and make Bane. Wow, did I call it or did I call it? Tribute off for Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. And just to add insult to entry, we have a column. So we're going to special Purple Knightfall. Use Purple Knightfall to add Mekk Knight Yellow Star here. This could be Red Moon, but going against Kaiba DSOD, I favor the back row removal because I feel pretty confident in my ability to remove their monsters already. The back row, like Karma Cut, is more scary to me, more threatening to me, so we get the back row removal. Then we're going to pass our turn. Opponent takes a look at the board and realizes, yeah, this is hopeless. Scoop. That's going to be the deck profile, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the replays. Hope you enjoyed the deck. Don't hate me too much. If you do hate me a bunch, join me for my villain arc, because I'm going to be playing this for the rest of the KC Cup. I'll have some more replays for you guys, and some live duels. I'm enjoying playing the deck. If you have these cards laying around and you want to put it together, I could not recommend it more. It is a very fun version of the deck to play, and it makes you play Resonators in a different way and makes you think about the deck in a different way, which is very cool and refreshing to me. It's nice that on top of getting a new skill and a new way to play the deck, we got another new way to play the deck. So yeah, it's fun. Now I'm gonna have fun. And if anything, this deck is a showcase for why the Mekk Knights should be hit heavy on the next ban list. They offer so much value, especially cards like Purple Knightfall, and they ask so little of you in deck building and dueling that they're crazy. All they want you to do is not be locked out by your skill from playing them, and to be able to effectively set up a column on your first turn, or sometimes even just have your opponent set up the column for you. They ask so little and do so much. They need to be hit. But in the meantime, I'm going to abuse them just like everybody else. And hopefully I'll see you on the next video, everybody. Be safe, have fun, everybody.